Hello everyone, this is Yana Smakula. Welcome back to my channel. I continue to introduce you to new products in my collection. Let's celebrate with Spellbinders. In this video, I'm sharing a look at a new BetterPress plate. This is called Peony Celebrations. This is a different type of BetterPress plate that I designed specifically with the type of cards that I like to create. If you've been following me for some time, if you know me, you know that I love to have dark, dramatic backgrounds on my cards. And it's not always very easy to achieve that dark background, to achieve that dramatic look. So when I was designing this plate, I wanted to have a way to add color to the background. So this is, in a way, this is a reverse BetterPress plate. You will press the background and the outline and also the flower details when you use this plate. You can use it with any colors of ink. When I was designing it, I had black ink in mind, of course, or dark blue. But I've also shared examples where I've done pinks and yellows and even ombres, as you can actually see by the residual ink that I have on my plate. Let's go ahead and do some BetterPress ink so I can show you this plate in action. I'm going to bring my BetterPress inks. I finally have the new ink colors from Spellbinders. I also finally created a BetterPress Ink Chart, something that I didn't have before. But I took some time and I pressed each ink color and cut it out, and I added that onto this ink chart. So I have most of the inks here, plus I have some on the back that didn't fit on the front. I did not swatch the Thunder ink. I don't know how. I think I just forgot about it. And I also didn't swatch black because, well, black is black. I did use a BetterPress plate for this. I was actually looking for a BetterPress plate with a coordinating die because I couldn't just stamp the image onto paper. I actually did try stamping this. Let me grab my other ink chart so that I can show you what I'm talking about. This is my Simon Says Stamp ink chart. So here I just stamped the ink colors using a solid stamp. I tried the same approach and I even tried the same stamp with the BetterPress inks. That did not give me the same result. In fact, when I did my stamping, regular stamping with regular stamp using the BetterPress ink, the stamping looked really bad. I did try doing my stamping on the BetterPress paper, and that might have been the reason why. But anyhow, after that miserably failed attempt, I decided I needed to use a BetterPress plate that had a coordinating die. So it took me some time to find a BetterPress plate with a coordinating die that was not too big, but also had enough solid space so that I could see not just the fine lines, but also the solid areas, as that sort of shows the ink the best. I will have this BetterPress plate linked in the video description below in case you want to use the same plate for your ink swatch. I will say that I had to trim it. Here you can see that this is cut because I wasn't sure if I'll be able to fit all of these on my sheet. I wasn't still. I should have trimmed these even smaller, but you know, I kind of like the way this looks now. It's functional. It does the job. It tells me what the ink color looks like, so I don't mind that it is trimmed and that it's not filling the entire sheet. Here I have my BetterPress system. I have already attached, whoops, unsuccessfully, I will say. I was gonna say that I already attached a sheet of BetterPress paper. And I'm going to press my plate, place my plate onto the BetterPress system. Now, with this plate, you will need to get re-inkers because this type of plate will take a lot of ink. So if you don't have BetterPress re-inkers yet, now is the time to get them. As you ink your plate, you will see that your ink pads might not be juicy enough. You will notice that you're not getting enough ink. And the reason for that is that these inks dry up fairly quickly. They're also small. A little bit of pressing, a little bit of inking with these inks takes a lot of ink. So you do need re-inkers for these. That being said, you can of course try pressing this with whatever other inks you have in your stash. We always say it's okay to use other inks, go ahead and experiment, go ahead and play with other inks. BetterPress inks will always give you the best result. So I'm going to try and use the BetterPress Black. I'm not sure if this is well inked or not, but we will see. So as with all the BetterPress plates, when you ink, you just need to tap and turn to get the ink onto the paper. Now I have taped my platen onto the, or chase I should say. I have taped the magnetic platform onto my BetterPress. Here you can see that it's taped. And I have found that should I need to run my image through my BetterPress or through my Platinum machine twice, I can do that without there being any shifting or without there being any offset. There is also a large BetterPress ink pad coming. There's a large black ink pad coming and a blank one coming. A plate like this obviously requires you to have a larger ink pad because you will be able to ink the plate a lot faster when you use the big ink pad versus me using the small ink pad. You can see that I'm kind of struggling because, well, it's a small ink pad and a large plate. And also a clear one is coming so that you can purchase the clear ink pad, use your re-inker, and ink that up using whatever color of ink pad or whatever color of ink you want, or even multiple colors of ink so that you can create your own either multicolor ink pad or your own large ink pad. Let's say you really like to use teal topaz ink color and you'd like to have a large ink pad, you can do that. So here I press this in black and you can see the result. I do have some imperfections, but this gives you a general idea of what this looks. I am going to re-ink my ink pad. By the way, I'm using this Ranger tin to store my re-inkers. I'm also storing some of my other little bottle things in here, like glossy accents and re-inkers for some of my other inks. And this is really nice and convenient. It just locks and you can pop it on a shelf or pop it in a drawer. Takes very little space. So just going to use the black re-inker to ink my ink pad. I ink it up and then I just use the side of the nozzle to spread the ink. This is not the most correct method, but that's the method that I use. You can use like an old credit card or something to help spread that ink. I sometimes also use the edge of cardstock to help spread that ink around. So here I have a scrap piece of cardstock. I'm just going to try and use that. Okay. Now my ink pad is frayed, and that is because of the way that I use my inks. Sometimes I just swipe them instead of tapping and turning. So just keep that in mind. If you swipe, the edges of the ink pad might get caught on the raw edges of your BetterPress plate and your ink pad might fray. I've re-inked my ink pad. I'm going to use a new piece of paper and I'm going to ink up my plate again. This looks good enough. Pop this back. This should now give us a beautiful black background and black outlines to our flowers. And yay, this looks stunning. I don't know about you guys, but I just love this look. Now you can use your markers, watercolor markers, because remember, you can't use your alcohol markers with BetterPress ink. It bleeds when it comes in contact with alcohol markers. So either use your watercolor mediums or pencils, no alcohol. You can now use your coloring medium, color these flowers, and then have a beautiful, vivid background, vivid florals on a dark background. I think that is just stunning. If you do want to use alcohol markers, I would say you need to use a different type of ink. So again, experiment. I am tempted to try and use my VersaFine Onyx Black and then heat set that ink and then color with my alcohol markers, because if you heat set the ink, that particular ink, the VersaFine Onyx Black, it becomes suitable for alcohol marker coloring. But keep in mind, this is done on BetterPress paper, and BetterPress paper will take a ton of marker. This type of paper might not be the best one to use your alcohol markers on. Now let's try and do another color. I want to do Cosmic Sky. When I press with my BetterPress inks, I typically do not clean my plates. Unless I'm switching between drastically different colors, I won't clean my plates, or unless I want to have a true color. So I typically have a lot of color contamination happening on my plates, not so much on my ink pads, because I don't think that this Cosmic Sky ink pad is picking up a lot of blue ink from my plate. It might pick up some, but I don't think that's a significant amount to contaminate the color of ink in this ink pad. So that's just the way that I like to create. You certainly can clean your plates, and there is an ink cleaner, the archival ink cleaner. It's available on the Spellbinders website and also in other places. You can do that. I also like to use just a paper towel method, where I would run a paper towel instead of paper and let that paper towel soak up any residual ink that I have on my plate. And here's a look. We have a beautiful background pressed in blue. I shared this in my previous video, and I talked about doing blind letterpress or blind BetterPress. So here I pressed this same plate without any ink to create this beautiful embossing. The back of the panel is perfectly smooth. There's no texture on the back, but the front, check it out. You have that beautiful texture. It is just so stunning. Unbelievable. So that's another thing that you can do with your BetterPress plates, and with this plate in particular, you can have that beautiful background. It's very subtle. It will probably be very hard to photograph, but it looks beautiful in real life. Okay, another thing I wanted to mention is that with this type of plate, because the plate is so big, you can do ombre. Especially now that we have so many different colors of ink, we can do ombre backgrounds. So let's go ahead and maybe use teal topaz, hydrangea, and azure to create an ombre background. I'm going to start by teal topaz and ink up the top third portion of the background. Okay, then using hydrangea ink for the middle section of the plate. I am overlapping the two ink sections ever so slightly. Here I'm using my fast method of just swiping the ink pad across the plate, and then using azure for the bottom section. You can tell that I'm being very impatient with this background. It takes quite a lot of time for to do the inking because of how large the background is. Okay, I have a new piece of paper. I'm just going to pop that in place and send through my Platinum 6 die cutting and embossing machine. I am going rather quickly. You don't really need to go slowly here. And there we have a beautiful background. Now, these were not true ink colors. Like I said, I did not clean my plate, so the teal topaz at the top, it really does not look like teal topaz. The same goes with hydrangea. It does not look like hydrangea, and the same for azure. So these inks, they kind of mixed a little bit with the Cosmic Sky, so I now have a darker blue background. And that's okay. I love doing this. I love to create new colors on my backgrounds. I've demoed with this plate and many other BetterPress plates at different shows for Spellbinders, and it was funny because I would do this sort of thing. I would have different inks, and then people would stop by the booth and they would say, hey, can we see this plate demoed with this color ink? And I was like, I don't really have that color of ink. That was just a color created by accident. As with all BetterPress plates, you can use them for hot foil stamping. So I'm going to use my plate and create a foiled background. Now this is going to give me a ton of foil on my card. Well, because we're getting the negative foil transfer with this plate, but that's okay, you know, especially if that's the look that you're going for. That is absolutely perfect, and that, in fact, that looks really fun. I'm just going to cut my paper to size. I'm using the Simon Says stamp 130-pound cardstock. This is very smooth paper. You can also use the Spellbinders specialty glimmer cardstock for this, but I want to color this background, so I'm using the paper that I also use for coloring. And look at that, I don't have enough gold foil. Let me look through my stash. Okay, here I have another roll of foil, brand new, so I need to get it started. And I'm going to cut a piece of matte gold foil. This is a brand new roll, so I have a bit of imperfection there from the sticker, but that's okay. I will make it work. So I'm just adding the foil onto the plate, adding my paper. I've added my shims on top, and next I'm going to take this out and send it through my Platinum 6 to apply pressure. So remember, the Glimmer hot foil system is providing the heat, and then the die cutting machine, Platinum 6 in my case, is providing the pressure. Let's put this back, dock it back into the docking station so that our platform stays nice and hot in case we want to foil again. And let's take a look. You ready, guys? I think this is going to look great. Oh my goodness. Look at that perfection. Isn't that stunning? Now this paper warped really bad, but that's okay. I will stick it onto a background and it's going to look just fine. Look how beautiful. I mean, I can't. Just that matte gold foiling alone looks stunning. But then imagine adding color to the flowers and creating a colored background. I do have a card where I did that, and I will add a photo for you here. Now, don't throw this away, because look at that. Isn't that pretty? That is also gorgeous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this plate, flip it back. And by the way, this is how I got the color on my Glimmer hot foil system. By doing this, by flipping the plate upside down and using it to do reverse foiling. So now I've placed the paper, the foil onto the plate. I'm going to grab another piece of paper. I am heating this up once again, you know, just in case. I want to make sure that this is going to be good and hot. I'm going to add my plates on top, set this aside, take this out of our Glimmer, and send it through our Platinum 6 to apply pressure. This doesn't always work, and it doesn't always give you 100% perfect result, but you already have that negative foil piece, so you might as well use it. Okay, and let's do the reveal. I kind of like this already, but I'm not sure if it pressed well. Did not press well here. Well, you know what I can do? I can run this through again because the foil is still technically attached. So I can repeat this. I can repeat this one more time, or even 2 or 3 more times. I can even add a shim to increase the pressure and, you know, get that perfect result. Okay, so I used the shim and I sent it through my machine again, and it helped. It helped a lot. It's still not perfect. I can see that I'm removing foil where I should not be removing it, see? But this already looks so much better. Wow. So talk about 2-for-1 backgrounds. Isn't that stunning? So beautiful, so beautiful. Now, back to glimmer. This is what will happen if you do not clean your plate. If you do not mind getting your glimmer dirty, use your plate as is. If you would like to have your glimmer clean, make sure you clean the plate before you use it, like that, reverse, in your glimmer hot foil system. So that's a look at my new Peony Celebration BetterPress plate from the Let's Celebrate collection with Spellbinders. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you feel inspired to create. As always, thanks so much for spending time with me today. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time.